All right, so next question is, what would you do for fun back in the 1970s?
Well, just like you guys today, in high school, we felt we really just wanted to hang out with our classmates, our friends, the kids we knew. We would go to parties and go to movies. Play sports, kind of similar, actually when, at least before gas got too expensive, cruising around in our cars was kind of a cool thing to do, and we would kind of drive down the main drag of the city we lived in and look to meet up with our other friends and kind of hang out. Sometimes we would go to this place called Belle Isle, which is an island that's just off into the Detroit River, and go to parties there.
Gotcha. All right, so what was the most popular TV shows then?
The most popular TV show in the 70s was a show called All in the Family. It focused around the main character, Archie Bunker, and his family. Archie was an ultra-conservative person, and his son-in-law wasn't. And so there was a lot of comedy that was kind of created around that. He actually was a bit bigoted himself, old Archie.
So what was high school like?
Well, high school was not, from the standpoint of interacting with friends and so forth, I think, we enjoyed hanging out together, like I mentioned earlier. Just like anywhere else, groups of friends, different groups would develop within the high school itself. I guess this borders on the development of things called cliques, where you would have certain groups of people that were different from one another, that hung out in their own with people similar to them. Technologically, of course, high school was a lot different back then. We didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones, so there was no texting in school.
Right.
There was no, we didn't have the access to the internet like you all have today with the way you can do research very easily. We actually had to use things called books and libraries. So that was a big difference. When I was in school, we didn't have a soccer team, we didn't have a track team. We basically had the three main sports. And in fact, when I was in high school, girls basketball was still played in the way where you would have the offense separate from the defense by half court, and the girls could not cross half court.
Wow.
And certainly that has changed.
Yeah. All right.
These
So
days.
you kind of touched on this already, but what were the biggest differences back in the 70s compared to today?
Well, again, the technology is so much different today, with all the ways you can get information so quickly, communicate so quickly all the way around the world, where you can text people on other continents, and they can get that essentially within an instant. That's really changed. So communication has changed. Information is so easily accessible. News programs are almost becoming obsolete, but people around the world can know what's going on right here in our hometown so quickly. The writing of letters is becoming such a antiquated activity. Even though you can say you can write a letter through email, the amount of information that is sent through the communication is actually more simplified, but less meaningful.
Right.
And I think from a moral standpoint, I think society today, compared to the 70s, and I think it all began in the 70s or 60s for sure, this kind of breaking down of the wall between what's right and what's wrong. That line has become very blurred these days, and there are a lot of things that were scandalous back in the 70s that today are commonplace and accepted.
Yeah. All right. So the last question now, and I had to get this in here. How good were the Tigers back then?
You mean is that a baseball team? The Tigers?
I think so. Yeah.
You mean Detroit Tigers?
Yeah.